It's the Cold Beer Surf Club.
Well, and I'm going to have one of these all open yours, but you don't have to have it.
Sure.
If you feel inclined.
Yeah, I will. We haven't had a beer together in a while.
Dude, it's been a while. Cheers.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Todd.
Thank you for having me.
You've been on the list here for a while.
We've been
Culprits that we need to get on the podcast.
We've been talking about it for a while, and I think we've both been in the new kid land of having wives and partners that are pregnant and then having babies. And so, yeah, time just kind of flies by. You get sucked into this vortex of like this little bubble of home life. And,
yeah.
But I'm super excited to be in your home and meet your baby.
Dude, I know. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I got little Nora here too. Mm-hmm. Might have to have her make an appearance.
Yeah, she's really the star of the family, I would say.
It's crazy. All of a sudden, the focus is just, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't even matter what I do anymore. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, wait, I still need to do something because I got to keep the job going, keep the dream alive. But at the same time, it's so easy to just get so locked in with the kids that sometimes I'm like, whoa, a week went by and I feel like I didn't even notice it.
Especially like that first month, like the first month that Jenna and I had Nora, there'd be times where she'd be like, you need to go surfing. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm like in sweatpants. It's like March.
Day 5.
Like, holding
the same
her,
sweats.
and she's like, you haven't been outside in a week. Like you got to go jump in the ocean. I'd like run down and jump in trunks, even though the water's freezing, just to like wake up and feel somewhat normal again. Cause you get like so sucked into like your life and you want to, we can't be there for the baby the way that the baby really needs us, but we can be there for mom and try to like support them as they're not sleeping and feeding and going through all the emotions of being a new parent. And we're like doing the same thing. So like Jenna, my wife, she was like, you got to go surf. You got to go jump in the ocean, do something. And I'm like, I'm good. The world can go on without us. Like, it's like 2020 all over again. Just leave us at home. Like, we're good.
Yeah, I know. That's epic. That's when you have a good partner, when they're like, you need to go get in the ocean.
Yeah. She's definitely understanding and supportive of getting in the water. And, we always come out better people.
That's what I always tell her. I'm like, you want me to go get in the water because I'll be better off for it.
Yeah, totally. But then like you're doing good and like you start a little like workout routine because in the back of your head, you're just like, okay, I know I'm going to be in some waves of consequence in the next, at the earliest, you're like, oh, it'll be a couple weeks or maybe a month or two. And then it's like a couple months go by and you're like, oh man, this whole dad bod thing that people talk about, it's like so real.
Dude, it is real. I think especially when you're so used to being so active all the time, at least for me, I felt that way. Like, I don't feel like I'm in bad shape, but just relative to like what you're used to. I'm like, damn, dude.
It's funny how it creeps up on you too. And like, especially when she was born in kind of a cold March, where like sweatpants and you're like, I'm good, I'm totally good. Then you go to put a wetsuit on, you're like, whoa, this thing's tight.
For sure.
So I like started running a little bit and like trying to get like some sort of like a fitness thing going just to stay healthy. And, we still need to perform when we go in the water, whether it's like surfing or for me with a camera. And I want to be able to like, make nice water photos.
For sure. I mean, I think that's so underrated how good a shape you guys need to be in to go take those photos. People probably don't really realize that. I don't think, unless you spent time in the water.
Yeah, you do. You need a certain level. Well, it's funny because like I remember like at the peak of my like spending a lot of time on the road, chasing swell all the time. I felt like I was a pretty decent swimmer, but I never did formal swim training like when I was a kid or I think I did swim class when I was like really young, but I never like thought of myself as a good swimmer. And I remember there's this pool down the street from my house at the Boys and Girls Club, and they have like a master swim class. I'm like, oh, I'll go do a master swim class. A couple of my friends do it. And I like jumped in, and the instructor's like, all right, just swim a couple laps. Like, let me see what you do. And
what do you got?
I like swam a couple laps, and they were like relatively fast. And the instructor's like, you got to breathe out when you swim, right? And I'd never been taught that. I had no idea. So learning how to swim in a pool, staring at a blue line, was so different because in the ocean, we always have our head up. And in a pool, you just have your head down because there's no threat of something coming to get you that you don't see. And so like doing this like master swim class, I learned to like stare at a blue line, which is like painfully boring, but you learn how to breathe properly for swimming. But in the ocean, if you swim with your head down, you're going to like drown because the wave's going to hit you. So it's like, I always kind of romanticize my swimming as like, I'm a good survival swimmer. Like I can get to the beach okay. Or I can get
probably
back
translates
to the boat.
pretty well, like staring at a blue line in a pool.
In time, yes. But like the early stages of like learning their breathing techniques and learning how to like swim efficiently to keep up with group, that's all they do. But like they don't necessarily, not everyone was as capable in the ocean. I think to be a good surfer, a good water photographer, you need to have a good understanding of the ocean, of the swell, and of the subjects that you're documenting. Like I'm always like fascinated by, I think the process of creating good imagery or telling the story of a swell starts way before you get in the water. It starts with like understanding the storm, the size of the storm, the fetch, the tides, the winds, the subjects that you're shooting. If it's, really big and guys are on like 9-foot boards, you're probably going to want like a slightly longer lens. So you're not like sitting in the bowl. Gives you a little bit more safety and a little bit more latitude to like be where you need to be to ultimately capture the best image, but also stay safe. And at a place like Cloudbreak, for example, like there's so many different faces to it. You can go out on an 8-foot day and, someone like yourself's riding a 6'3". I know you're going to be like sitting under the ledge, getting the mid-sized ones that don't cap, but are way heavier, which are going to photograph much better. Hopefully. I've seen you do it. And it's so crazy because like I was just talking to a friend about this last week. Like there's something about regular foot surfers and backhand tubes that like, it's a really good one when the front of their shorts comes up when they come out of the barrel.
Yeah.
And it never happens front side. It's only backside. And I don't know if it's like a butt drag stall or like you could probably talk more about it.
Well, I don't know if everyone does. I always got so much shit for it, but I always watched like I think Kelly does it a lot. Like there's a couple of guys I just grew up watching and they would be like butt dragging, but then they'd go like the extra level and like drop their like whole thigh and knee down on the face of the wave and like really slow down. So I always just wanted to do that. And then the water shoots up and next thing your nuts are almost hanging out.
It's like a nut stall. It's like a backside nut stall. Like,
yeah.
Like you judge like your backhand tube. I'm like one of those goofy foots that don't like to go right. Like when I lived in Santa Barbara, I like had to learn how to go right. It was the weirdest thing. We'd like go surf Rincon. I'd like surf the left on top.
You and Bummy.
Yeah. We'd go to like very far distances to surf like
so
a subpar
good.
left versus like a firing right. And you were one of the Kellys like that too, where the shorts would just go up and it's almost like a status thing. Like you're not getting deep enough in the barrel unless like your balls are slowing you down.
I feel like I ruined so many good board short photos probably because of that. Just like, oh, he's in a Speedo. We can't use that photo.
It's like asymmetrical board shorts.
Dude, I actually saw Tyler Wright had like a wetsuit made this year for Chopu that was like the front leg like went down to her like shin or something.
What's the theory behind that?
So that the water wouldn't go up and like rip the suit up or something.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But then like at Chopu, like you look at footage of yourself or of Kelly or like Andy or like Shano or like Emio, and like they're in board shorts.
Yeah.
And they're the gnarliest humans out there.
Dude, I know we're kind of just dumb probably. It's probably a good idea to wear those wetsuits.
Yeah, more so just for like reef protection. I always wore it for sun protection, but like pretty fair skin these days.
Yeah. I always did it for the reef.
But the reef, it definitely like, it's nice to have that extra layer.
I always feel the safest in a full suit. Like at home in like my 3-2, I'm like the happiest.
Do you?
I like surfing in trunks, don't get me wrong, but I feel the safest for sure in a nice 3-2.
Like a 3-2 on a warm day is like pretty comforting.
So nice.
Yeah.
So Todd, I got to take it way back here because I don't even really know if I know this. And I feel like if we go too far without me asking this, how'd you get into shooting surfing?
I grew up in San Diego. I grew up, my closest beach to my house was a beach named Del Mar, and it's just south of like Solana Beach in Cardiff, which is where Seaside's at. Like my friends and I, we grew up surfing and bodyboarding. I grew up bodyboarding more than surfing.
I didn't know that.
What'd you say?
I just said I did know that.
Yeah. And so I grew up bodyboarding, and a lot of my friends surf. So for me, there was never like this weird surfer bodyboarder thing because friends that I've known since like elementary school, half of them surfed and half of them bodyboarded. And we were just like, whoever wants to go in the water and play, that's kind of what we did. And then it almost kind of created like more of a divide as we got older. And I started like, they started going chasing waves at places like Oceanside Pier and like Trestles. And I started going south to like where there's more reefs and kind of started being attracted to different types of waves than what some of my friends were riding on surfboards. But when I was 15, a friend of mine had a camera and a water housing. And we would like take turns shooting photos of each other. He was a little bit older. And he was like, I think I like riding waves more than photography. And I was like really into shooting photos at the time because in San Diego, this was all like on film days, but in San Diego, we have a ton of cloudy days. But when we do get those clear days, you can make some really nice images. So I felt like on the sunny days, I would go shoot photos of my friends. And then on the cloudy days, I would still get to surf. But even on the sunny days, when I had a camera, I was still in the water. So I had like, it was a Canon A2, which is like one of the earlier kind of film cameras from Canon, a fisheye lens, and then a water housing. And that was the only camera gear I had for like 5 years. And all I knew how to do was like swim and like kind of understand where waves, learn about and understand where waves are and like shoot photos of my buddies in the water. And I was traveling a little bit, like competing and making films with bodyboarding. So we got to a point where like some of the photographers would come on the trips and like they weren't as comfortable in the water as like my friends and I were. And so we just started shooting photos of each other.
Damn.
And so like we would go on trips and like shoot photos of each other and we would
take turns.
And we would build stories for like the magazines at the time.
That's so sick.
And I just loved it because like you're in the water, you're like still heckling your friends. And, for me, the big allure to riding a bodyboard was you're always finding waves that are hollow. So we were always in really good waves. And so we just wanted to document those waves.
Damn. Now the more that I think about it too, like shooting a fisheye tube shot is probably pretty similar to actually like riding the wave and getting tubed yourself almost, because you're positioning yourself, you're like putting yourself in the spot, you end up in the barrel.
Yeah. It's kind of like a game of inches, really.
Totally.
Which is what I'd imagine like surfing a really good tube is. I've like ridden a handful of waves on a surfboard that are kind of bigger and hollow, but nothing like to what you're doing. But I bodyboarded quite a few waves, and it's really fun, especially with a fisheye, because you're constantly like looking at the wave, looking at the subject, and then you know what lens you have, and the fisheye and the housing kind of becomes an extension of your arm. So it's like, how do you position yourself in the best way to capture the barrel and like its peak moment of barrelness and have the subject look good and then not get sucked over the falls, or if you do get sucked over the falls, not get hurt so you can do it again. And the first probably like 7 years of me shooting was all on film, so you'd go out with a roll of 36 frames and hope you'd capture something well.
Damn.
So the learning curve was pretty steep.
Yeah, and then you probably, in the back of your mind, you're always thinking like, all right, when I burn 36 frames, I have to swim back to the beach, dry off, put a new roll in, and go back out.
And depending on where you were, like if you were in San Diego, it wasn't so bad because your car is pretty close. A place like Pipeline, for example, you'd go out to Pipeline and then you'd spend so much energy getting out and coming in.
Yeah.
You really have to question every image that you've shot, because you know that that's just time wasted and energy wasted if it's not going to be a good frame. And then you wouldn't know what you're capturing. So like currently with digital, you can shoot an image, look at the back of the screen and go, you know what, I need to adjust my wrist a little bit more, or my settings are a little off. The original housing that I had, I couldn't adjust any settings.
No way. So you had to set it all up before you powered out?
I'd preset my focus, preset my aperture, preset my shutter, and I'd be in the water. And like if a cloud came over, I wouldn't shoot because I couldn't adjust the settings. I also didn't know what they meant, so I didn't know how to adjust them. Like when I got the housing and the camera, my buddy was like, okay, if you're shooting lefts in California, it's 1,000, 4.5.
No way.
And then if you're shooting right, it's 750, 4.5. I had no idea what that meant for like 5 years.
Just based on the fact that that's usually where the sun was?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then we would push the film 2/3 because that's what the guys at the film lab told me to do. Because the film lab I went to, Chrome, who still does all my printing, they would, they were like, hey, all the guys with Surfing Magazine, they all push their film 2/3. So you should do that.
So that's what you did.
Cool. I had no idea.
For those of us who don't really know what that means, what's that mean?
What that means is when you're developing it, you're extending the development by like 30 seconds.
Okay, so it's getting more light on the film.
It's getting more light on the film.
So it exposes it a little more.
And increasing contrast.
Ah.
And we would use Velvia 50 film, which was the film that everybody used. So like, but it was like foreign to me. Like I just had it written down like on my notepad, and I would like look at my notepad. And then what was cool is early on, because I was super into chasing swells, I would keep a little notebook and I'd be like, Torrey Pines, sunrise, buoys, 3 feet at 17 seconds, 4.5 tide rising up, photograph this guy. And the camera, I think it did like 5 frames a second. And so you usually get anywhere between like 6 to 10 waves a session. And like, that was it. That was your whole session. And then
you just go in.
You'd go in, like eat a breakfast burrito, and then like I would just go surfing.
Sick.
Yeah.
Damn, that's so cool. Well, I know that you shoot film still, but do you feel like because you grew up in that era of like shooting film and do you think that made you a better photographer in the long run, that based on the fact that you had to kind of go through that era of it?
It's kind of like you don't know what you don't know in the sense of, like that movie, this is going to be a totally off tangent thing. And I had like a huge espresso right before I got here. But like, the movie North Shore? Mm-hmm. So I felt like at the time, shooting film was all that we knew. So like the original surfboards, like those Olo boards, were these huge wooden boards with no fins. And then like when Tom Blake introduced the fin, like all of a sudden it got people thinking about how to creatively guide a surfboard. There were no other options with photography. So film is all we knew. So that's kind of what you had to learn to adapt. I think what it did for me was it placed an importance on when you shoot. I feel like now with the conversation of photography and film, when I say film, I mean like motion, there's such a conversation about the equipment that's being used. Whereas prior to really like 2003, 2005, everyone was on film. So no one really talked about the gear. It was about what was in the frame. Whereas now there's so much conversation about the gear that sometimes the frame, the story gets lost. So like with film, I would only shoot at sunrise because that's when the best light was, and that's when the best winds are, and that's when the waves are the cleanest. So for me, if I didn't get my shot by 8 a.m., I wasn't shooting. Like I would go surf. And so that kind of instilled this work ethic of like, be at the beach in the dark, shoot at sunrise. If you didn't get it in the first hour, you're not going to get it. It's done. And then you get to go surfing. Now with the advent of digital, you can swim out and you can have 1,000 photos or 10,000 photos, whatever it may be. But a lot of the subjects don't necessarily participate the same because there's not that emphasis of, oh, wow, if we don't get the shot by 8 a.m., they're not going to shoot. They're just going to keep. Now everyone just shoots all day. Mm-hmm. And so you end up capturing more images, but they're not necessarily better. You just get more.
Yeah. And I guess on the surfer side of that, a lot of times we're thinking it's more about what you do on the wave. And, a lot of people who do airs are like, oh, well, the wind, like I remember when Kai was filming those movies, like all the boys wouldn't even surf until the wind went onshore. Like literally it'd be like offshore and tubing. And they'd be like, we'll wait till it goes onshore because they want to do airs. Yeah. And then your light's kind of shitty, but it's more about, I guess, what the surfer's doing on the wave versus all these other elements that make a beautiful image.
Totally.
The lighting in that morning, glistening, just perfection, Yeah, it's kind of... Yeah. I really thought about that, actually.
And so to go back to that, like, obscure North Shore reference, it's kind of like shooting film now would be like going back to that original board and then working your way up from a twin fin, single fin, twin fin, to now like a high performance thruster or a quad. But surfboards, like you probably have some of the most high performance boards in the world. And a lot of the guys that I have traveled with, like yourself included and your brother, and I've ridden those boards and it's like, they're too advanced for me. They're like spaceships. They're so advanced and they're so fine tuned, especially like when you're on tour, that like a normal guy like me doesn't get the same enjoyment out of it because it's almost like I don't have the skill to do what the board wants to do. Like the board wants to like run and I'm on like a slow jog back in the back.
Or sometimes I almost feel like the boards that are like fine tuned for like that stuff, it's almost like you almost have to like be keeping up with it. Whereas like when you get on like a fun, like a 20 or like something else, that's just, I always feel like I can just get on and kind of let the board do the work.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like for me, it's the opposite. Like when I get on one of those, it's like I have to be on or else I'm kind of bogging. Whereas I could paddle out on just a twin fin or something and it's almost fun to go straight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love going straight. Actually.
What you're saying about film is like before we move on from that, I almost feel like music's a little bit has had a similar trajectory as film in that, and maybe particular motion. No, like photography too, because back then when it was just film, you could only control like so many variables, right? So it makes you as the photographer, like the way you shoot that photo is unique to you. And there's like only so many variables you can play with, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes more about like the photographer who's shooting the image versus the gear and the camera and the settings and how you edit it in post-production and all that stuff. Almost like music too, is like back when you got a guitar and an amp, you plugged it in and some drums and a bass. And now it's like, oh, the guitar and all these 8 million pedals you could do. And you can like sit there and make a bunch of different sounds. And then you put it into some board and then you have Pro Tools and you can change the sound and auto tune it and do all this shit and synthesizers. Yeah. And it's cool. Like it's not bad, but you can get so caught up in that like that. I don't know where I'm really going with that, but it's like, takes away some of that just simplicity of like what you're like putting into your image or like what you're putting into your music or your surfing. Maybe, I don't know.
I totally hear I hear what you're saying and I agree with it. And I think about it. You brought up a really interesting point. Like for me, what separates my images maybe from what someone else does is I like to, I don't like to just show up at the beach and hope something happens. I like to give ourselves the best opportunity to make an image. And that's not to say to like fake it at all, but I'm like, if we're going to shoot, let's shoot in nice light. And if we're going to shoot in nice light, let's make sure the waves are good. And let's find a wave that's going to like complement whoever the subject is. So the subject not only like feels good about their surfing if we're photographing surfing, but then the subject can also make something that maybe someone else wouldn't capture. Like I remember being in, where was it? You and I were in Tahiti once and we were doing a shoot for Nixon for the watch company. And like we had this big creative brief and they had all these different, shots that we needed to get. And then at the end, the creative director, Terry Snyder, was like, hey, he's like, if this was your shoot, what would you do? And I was like, oh, I'd 100% go underwater. Because I think to me, as soon as you go underwater, it strips away all the noise of everything above water. And it's person, wave, feeling, reef. And it kind of makes you, it really just strips things away. And like, as we get older, especially, having kids, life gets pretty busy. And so the more we're able to keep out of the frame, the simpler, and easier to understand the story. So like you and I ended up capturing like what's still one of my favorite photos is like you duck diving under a wave. And like you just so happened to be wearing like whatever the new watch was at the time. And I think we got it in 2 frames.
I know, that's crazy. That was such a fun trip.
That was fun. And how good's the food in Tahiti? Place on crew.
Everything about that place is pretty epic.
It's like paradise. And then we went to like the other island and you were fishing and I got to surf with Parker.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
I like that trip because it's fun. Like there's times when we go surf and it's like, cool, we're like surfing and there's someone shooting and I feel like they're kind of 2 separate things almost. It's like someone's just capturing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But then there's times when it's like, and I've honestly probably only really, Tom Carey used to do this a little bit. I've done it with you and like, maybe I'm trying to think, like, I don't even know, maybe just like with you where it's actually like, hey, I have this idea for an image and it's like, let's try to make it together. And I think that's kind of unique. And I don't know, I guess in some ways you could say that that's like, are you trying to contrive something? But no, it's like actually this like collaboration of like this vision, and like I'm surfing, we're out here, but like that, like even the duck dive thing, it's like, oh, like I have this idea, like let's try it, you know, and then you walk away with this beautiful image that you're going to remember forever. And I feel like shooting with you, which I've only gotten to do really like 2 or 3 trips over the years, but if it was different because you're like so fired up to create this image that you have in your head. So it becomes really like a collaboration to capture something versus me just going surfing and someone pointing a camera at me, you know?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for
and
saying
it's fun. I think that, I mean that, and like, it's a super fun thing to do. Cause at the end of the day, you just walk away with something. You're just like, whoa,
yeah,
this is crazy.
It's so wild. Like I haven't been on like a proper surf trip since our daughter was born, but, there's this constant urge for content. People need content, and they're just like, we need quantity. And like, I don't know if I'm like old school or if I'm just like stubborn or what it might be, but like when I worked at Surfer Magazine, like if we came back from a trip with like 10 images, like 10 really good images, like we killed it. That was like a cover, a couple spreads, and then a couple like kind of like establishing shots and like some portraits and a couple lifestyle images. Like that was like a great successful trip. And now like you do a shoot and you get half the amount of time and you need like a 250 image deliverable. And so
that's crazy. 250 images.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they're just like, photograph everything. You're like, one, the subject's totally over it because like they can't even sneeze without being like documented.
Oh shit. Sorry, that's me.
Oh, it's
my uncle.
Sorry,
Baffa.
Sorry, Baffa. Didn't he just do like a sci-fi movie?
I don't know what all he's cooking up right now, but he's got something. He's got to get him on here to tell us about it.
I saw something on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your uncle's like his storytelling is like top notch.
Dude, I know. I think so.
I like want him to make more films.
I do too.
I wish
he wants to.
Yeah. And have you seen his like sketches?
Yeah. Dude, he's so talented. Yeah.
He's so talented.
His art, his paintings too, like everything he does. He's a great photographer too. Anyways.
He is. I was thinking.
We'll get him on here one day.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. I was thinking about it. Like if you look at like the legacy of his work is timeless, like Single Fin Yellow and La Bella Vita. Like he put in the time to not only film that way, but communicate to his subjects like, hey, this is going to be a little bit of a slower process. However, 15, 20 years from now, it's still going to look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now we're in this like constant churning of just content. Like this word content never really existed when I was living in Santa Barbara and you were here. Like when I was living in Santa Barbara and like people were using like the internet, you would send in like the C photos. Like they weren't even the good ones. They were like the outtakes of the outtakes because no one cared. It was all about the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But now that the magazines don't exist, like I see the craziest waves online and they're shot on phone and no one cares.
Dude, like that Russell Bierke wave that I just showed you on a screen this big, like this most crazy clip I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool. It's on Instagram.
And it's like psycho. And then you're like, oh, what's next? Oh, look, this like baseball player got hit in the nuts. Like, cool. You're like,
and there's
look at
a
this
cat scratching someone's eyes out. Like,
totally.
It's so weird.
It's so funny how just our attention spans have gotten so much shorter.
Yeah. I feel like I still got a decent one, but I think we might be the minority in that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it though, but like back when you lived in Santa Barbara, so obviously like you got into the photography when you were traveling, bodyboarding, professionally bodyboarding.
Yeah. For whatever that was. Yeah.
And then you ended up here going to Brooks.
Yes.
So how'd you go from that to that?
I was, let me think. So I graduated high school at 18 and I didn't really know what I wanted to do like professionally. I was working at a surf shop. I was working at the shop called Mitch's down in La Jolla, which was really cool. It was like one of the first surf shops in San Diego. It was like built in 1963. And one of the cool things about there is they were one of the largest Clark foam distributors.
No way.
So I was learning all about making surfboards. Like I would organize the blank room, and I would get blanks for guys like Skip Fry and like Don Takayama and like all these crazy surfboard shapers that I was just around by picking up and loading their van up with blanks. And one of the managers who's still there now, Carter Elliott, was a boatman at Tavarua.
No way.
And Roseman lives just down the street.
Yeah.
So Roseman would come in all the time and be like, Carter, what are you doing? Like, get back to the island. Like, Carter would disappear for a month and go to Tavarua and be a boatman. And then like whenever Carter was gone, I would just like cover for all the blanks. And I would work as much as I could, save up, and then I'd like disappear for a month or two and go chase waves. And I'd either go to like Australia or go down to, I really like to spend time down in Port Escondido. So I would surf a lot. And then when the light was good, or if I had a buddy in town, we'd go shoot a couple rolls of film. And then over the course of being gone for a month or two, we'd have a pretty neat collection of photos. And that's kind of where I was learning how to shoot. But like, if I went to Porto for 2 months, the stuff I shot in April, I wouldn't see till June or July. Mm-hmm. And so you were just hoping everything worked and hoping that you were getting the right photos. And so I did that for about 2 years, working a ton. And then I would travel and then come back and work a ton, travel. And then after about a year and a half, a friend of ours, Sam Olson, who was a surf photographer, was going to school up here. And I came up and stayed with him, and he kind of showed me around the school. This is a really cool program up here. And I learned more about it. And I talked to my parents, and they were encouraging and supportive of it. I was like, well, I can go to school in Santa Barbara. I get a 4-year education in 3 years because it's kind of summer school pacing,
mm-hmm.
which I liked, like the high intensity of that. I've never liked to like waste time. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do school, like I'm going to go all in. So I think it ended up being like 27 units a semester type thing. Like it was a lot.
Not really.
But I liked that, and I liked just the efficiency of it. And so we enrolled and got in, and then a couple months later, I was living up here. But what's funny is I had my room packed up. I was living at home with my parents, and then there was a big swell in Tahiti like a week before school started, and I flew down super last minute with a couple friends.
Sick.
And we surfed Shopu for like 5 days. And I remember on the last day, my second to last wave, I like, you know, when you're there and it's like cloudy and you can't tell the difference between the wave and the reef and the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost easier when it's sunny because you get more like contrast and definition. A cloud came over and it got super cloudy, and I paddled for a wave that I thought was a good wave, and it probably was a very good wave, but I was like, I got to the bottom of it and I could see like the whole West Bowl like 50 feet ahead of me, and I was way up the reef, and I like flipped over and like landed on my back pretty hard on the reef. And I was like, I can't go out like that. I got to get one more. So I got one more and then made it. And it wasn't like a huge wave, but it was a very hollow one, the one I got hurt on. And I went in. I remember the whole flight home, I was like sitting like this because I couldn't put my back on the seat because it was super scratched up.
Yeah.
I flew home to LA, drove home. Then the next day got in my car and moved to Santa Barbara. And the whole like first 2 weeks of school, I couldn't sit my back on a chair because it was like really scraped up.
Gnarly.
And yeah, that was the start of going to school.
That's sick. Big old refresh.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I thought it was funny. And like everyone, I told a couple people at school, and they're like, what's reef? Like they just didn't understand. And
classic.
It like really started like the division of like wave chasing life, and then this like at school with a bunch of kind of art students and you know, aspiring photographers and filmmakers.
But that's where you met Perry, right?
Yeah.
And Bummy.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I know you.
Yeah.
Well, we probably would have crossed paths eventually down the road, but we got to freaking know you, and you're going here at Brooks. That's so crazy. When Perry was working on Dream Job, right? I remember he brought you along to like shoot the cover. I think that was the first time I ever met you.
Was it Dream Job or Some Friends? Which one came first?
I think he made Some Friends, but I didn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
So Dream Job was when we met you, because he needed you to shoot like
that's right.
the cover, and we went down to, I think it was like Lock and Cheetah or Santa Claus. Claus.
It was Santa Claus at sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he shot, and that was when me and Parker met you.
That's right. And that was like, 2006?
Sounds about right. I was probably 13. Yeah. Yeah. 12, 13.
Yeah.
14.
And
that
then,
was probably your guys like your senior year, right? Your guys' final projects, or at least for Perry it was. I don't know if you guys were in the same year of school.
I think Perry started a little sooner than I did.
Okay.
So I still had some time to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because you kept living here and then you would pick me and Parker up and go surfing.
Yeah. And then what was funny
and shooting.
I remember like vividly the first time picking you guys up to go surf up north. And Parker was like, hey, can we pull over and get some food? I'm like, yeah, dude, no worries. We pull over and we go to In-N-Out, and he gets
I totally remember this.
He gets 2 double doubles, 2 orders of fries, a milkshake, and maybe a lemonade. And I'm like, oh, you ordering for your brother? He's like, no, what do you want? And he grinded all the food. And I think I got like a hamburger and maybe fries. And then you got some. And then like he ripped. And I'm like, how do you serve with all that food?
He was like tiny, skinny too.
Yeah.
Grinding all that food.
I couldn't believe it. And I'll never forget that. And I remember that session so well.
So classic.
I was thinking about that. I was telling Jenna about that yesterday. And then I remember, I think we shot a checkout for Surfing Magazine down in Ventura early one morning too with your dad. And I felt so bad because I was shooting film then, and I was like trying to convince your parents. I'm like, we got it, because all I knew photography wise was like being at the beach in the dark. And so I remember like talking to your dad, and I'm like, we got to be there at like 5 a.m. And it was like freezing. He's like, I don't understand. I'm like, me neither, but like that's when the light's good. It's the only time we shoot surfing.
I think I remember shooting flash with you too a couple of times at Emmylwood. Like literally one night, I remember we were there till so late. Yeah, it was pitch black when we got in,
and we had no idea what we were doing. Yeah, that was funny. I remember one day, where were we shooting? We were shooting were we doing Toats? Remember when
we did do Toats, I think one time. Yeah.
And like the jet ski broke down.
Someone sucked the rope in the ski
sucked the
or
rope
something.
Up.
Yeah.
And like looking back, we're like, what were we doing? Why were we even doing Toats? But that was like the thing at the time.
Yeah, you did that then. That and flash too. I remember
the flash stuff was crazy because you'd only get one photo. And so like the surfing had to be on point, and then your photography had to be on point, and you had like a 30-minute window.
And you were shooting film at that point.
That was all film.
Yeah, that was all. I remember mostly shooting with you before we ever did trips for, that was because there was a pretty big gap in there. Like I remember you were only shooting film. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if digital was digital around.
It was slowly becoming a thing. Yeah. But it wasn't really like relevant yet.
Remember we got a photo ran too from Emmylwood, like in the spring. There was like all the mustard on the.
Yep.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
Those were like all back when you were living here.
And I think you guys might have been surfing a lot with Gray Lockwood.
Oh yeah, we did shoot with Gray a little bit.
And Gray was my roommate.
Oh, no way.
We went to school together.
Oh, crazy.
And then what's funny about Perry is Bummy and I all had the same internship with a fashion photographer.
Yeah, with Stephen Lippman. Oh my God.
And we were like the worst interns you could ever have. He would probably agree. And like,
but didn't he like make you take the wax off his boards and shit, like as part of the internship?
Yeah. And then he got all upset one day because there was a morning that we knew Zuma was going to be super good. And he was on set, and he didn't bring Bummy and I on set for whatever reason. It was probably like some big campaign. And Bummy and I shot flash at Zuma.
No way.
And then we were like texting him. We're like, dude, Zuma was so good today. We shot a whole roll. Like, have a good shoot. He's like, take the wax off my surfboards. He was like frothing on surf. And we were like, we really wanted to learn a lot about photography. And we did learn a lot about photography and like the business from him. But I was just thinking like, Bummy, Perry, and I, like in the same office, just so clueless.
Oh my gosh, dude, it's so good.
But Steven's Lippy, he's taught a lot of photographers, a lot of really good lessons. There was another photographer, Chloe, that was super into fashion, and like I picked up the latest issue of Vogue, and she had like a full couple spreads in it.
No way. Cool.
So like. Yeah, she's definitely on her own path, but like I know that what Lippy taught us was pretty intriguing. I got to find that film, yeah, Bummy and I were like cracking up. We're like, he's going to be so pissed. And it was like early sunrise too. So we were trying to get him to come down. We're like, just pull into like 2 waves before you go to the shoot. But he went and did the shoot. Because this place, like you would drive by Zuma to get to his house. And that's where his studio was.
No way.
Yeah.
So then when you left Brooks, then you started doing Surfer Mag? Did you go to Surfer from there? So
right when we graduated Brooks, I was already like contributing to all the different surf magazines.
Yeah.
At that age, like I think I did my first submission to Surfing magazine when I was 16, because Surfing and Bodyboarding magazine were in the same office.
Oh, okay.
And so, my buddies that I grew up surfing with, I would like shoot photos of them surfing, and then my buddies I grew up bodyboarding with, I would shoot photos of them bodyboarding, and I would drive to the offices in San Clemente, and I would like bring the surfing photos to surfing and the bodyboard photos to Bodyboarding magazine. And at the time, Jeremiah Klein was the photo editor of the Bodyboard magazine.
Oh,
and then Evan Slater was kind of acting as the editor and the photo editor for Surfing magazine. And I knew Evan from surfing the reefs down in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of how those relationships kind of continued on. But then after school, graduated, went to Port Escondido for 2 months and surfed and shot a lot of photos. Came back, got a job with one of the surf companies as their assistant in-house studio photographer. Because I was like, I really need a job. And I'm just out of school. I got to take what I can get. And I remember the first day there, I went in, we spent the whole morning photographing purses. And then we went to lunch and it's a kind of strip mall place out in Irvine. And then the whole afternoon we sat inside on Photoshop, and we used this tool in Photoshop called Paths, where you like trace out the thing that you shot. So you can like lay it on a certain backdrop. And we did that all afternoon. It was like a 10-hour day. And I was like next to this like fax machine that didn't work. And I was on like this tiny desk where like my chair kept hitting my buddy's chair, who was like the lead photographer. And I was like, I'm never coming back. I'm not like, I'm going to try my luck like on this other photography path. Sick. And I never went back.
Done.
And he had that job for like 8 years. And he created beautiful work, but I was like, I can't. Not for you. I'm not. This is like a scene out of Office Space. Like, I was just not. It was like not for me. Like So, and I was fortunate that it worked out, and had some friends that were keen and trusted my ability to shoot photos. But
what do you like when you look back at that point in your life? Because I mean, that sounds like a pretty pivotal moment where you're like, okay, that's not for me, and like you went down this path of like probably a lot of unknowns. Right? Like kind of more freelancey, like, I don't know what's next, but what are some things you'd attribute the success you've had to at that point?
Maybe just a bit of naivety and like persistence, but also like truly loving traveling and like chasing waves. Like I love chasing waves. I love being in the water, and I feel like energy creates energy, and like momentum builds momentum. So like if you're really passionate about chasing waves and you want to be where the waves are good, then you like surround yourself by people that are like-minded. And so then you just find ways to like make it happen, I guess, without sounding cliche. And we've never been like financially driven. It was never about money. It was always about like being at the right place at the right time, and like, doing it safely in a way. Like that's one of the things that I've always thought about with photography is like, I've never suggest to certain subjects, like to surfers or anyone, if I'm doing a portrait or any sort of like lifestyle campaign, like I would never suggest them to do something that I wouldn't do myself, or at least be in a similar position. Whereas I know there's like in the surfing world, there's a lot of surf photographers like, go do an air in front of this backdrop, and it's like dry reef with urchins. And
I remember Tom Carey trying to get me to pack some fucking clothes out up the reef at some shitty fucking wave. Colburn did it and got the cover, but he ended up like totally scratched up. I was like,
totally
not worth it.
And so
Tom
was insane. I actually really liked it.
Me too.
Tom was out of his mind in the best way possible, but him and Dave Nelson really like revolutionized all the flash photography and what they did. And you got to be a little quirky to be doing what they're doing all the time. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like, I was just like young and like single and just wanted to travel the world and like see the world and see all the waves that I'd like dreamt about my whole life. And got super lucky, got totally lucky with some of the trips that I got to go on and like, and some of the places, but it's kind of like, it's weird to sound so reflective because we're talking like 16, 17 years ago at this point.
Feels like a lifetime ago though.
It feels like a totally different life. Like I was going to ask you, like, how does it feel for you? Like you had this whole life trying to get on tour and then being on tour for many years, having, you know, very high levels of success, finishing in the top 5, which is like a huge accomplishment.
Thanks.
And then like now, like I don't get to see you as often, but I like follow your like boat building and I follow like your, you know, we keep in touch and I hear about the family and it's like this whole other life, but it seems almost like maybe like the crazy high highs of like winning a huge contest may not be the same as what they once were, but like you just have this, it seems as if from my point of view with you, like this steady level of just stoke and happiness of like, you have gardening, you've got the boat, you've got like, you know, your family, you've got Finley, like your whole perspective of happiness and joy is just, it's shifted, but it's not any more or less. It's just different than what it was.
I mean, pretty much nailed it. Nailed the head. Nailed. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hit the nail on the head. Yeah, it's so crazy. Like when people ask, I don't know, certain weeks people ask me all the time, like I'll get a week where it's like, I get it 20 times. Like, are you going to surf contests again? I'm like, I won't say never just because I've said never to things in my life that like I was young and things changed. And I was like, oh, I said never to that. Now I'm doing it, you know? But, so I won't say never, but just cause I don't know, like life's weird like that. But I always am like, I really don't think so. Yeah. They're like, oh, but like, yeah, I'm like, well, to me, it's like what you said, like I did that, you know, I got to the point where I feel like the cup that I was like trying to like achieve, you know, that achievement bucket was like pretty full. And I think that, you know, like what you're saying, you had this drive to like go chase waves, like you had a dream and then you probably did it. Now there's like a new dream, or maybe the dream changed a little. That's kind of how it is for me now. I was like, I felt by the time I didn't make the cut for the tour, I was like, okay, like I'm at a crossroads. I'm like, I know what it takes to get there. But like, how bad do I want it? You know, because if I don't want it that bad, I know all these other guys like really want it that bad, you know, and I'm not going to do good. So I was like, I'm pretty excited to like travel less, be home more, like I find at least with the tour, and like, I know that you've photographed the tour and spent a ton of time around it, like with Kelly, like, you know what it takes. And it's like pretty one track minded, in my opinion, or at least for me to do well. I was like, I had to be fully focused and I have to like do all this other shit outside of just surfing to keep my body feeling good, to be mentally prepared, to be on the road all the time, you know? And, like I just got to the point where I was like, I don't really want to be putting like 95% of my life effort into this one thing anymore. Like I want to have a family. I want to have a kid. I want to be home more and enjoy this rad community and be able to do other projects and go fishing and go surfing and not almost feel like guilty about it. Yeah. Like when I was on tour, I'd almost feel guilty. Like, wow, I'm going fishing for 2 days. Like, I should be surfing or going to train or like something, you know? So, yeah, I'd say like, obviously those moments of like success competing are high highs and, you know, traveling the world, going to those places, like being at those events, like going to parties, being with all your friends, like meeting people around the world. I mean, it's a total dream. But I guess once you do it for a while, you're kind of like, oh, you start to crave something else. And I also can't imagine like when I was like, okay, Sierra, like, are we gonna, you know, like let's have kids? Like, I can't imagine doing it with a kid now. Like, I have so much respect for like Philippe and Joel, like all these guys who are freaking won world titles with groms. I'm like, how do they do that?
Dude, we could barely.
So that was a long-winded answer for what we were talking about, but yeah.
No,
I'm very happy. Like the steady, like, yeah, very stoked.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And it seems like you're riding that transition like beautifully and like really happy, because sometimes you see people that don't either step away or transition in such a smooth way, and you know, they kind of get into trouble in certain aspects of their lives. And mean, I couldn't imagine doing the tour. I saw Jack Robinson
Jack, dude.
in Tahiti last year. And he was pushing the stroller. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, that looks really hard, but I didn't really understand. And we were like a couple months pregnant. So I was like, still in this like, oh, we're having a kid. It's going to be awesome. And I had no idea. And I forget how old his son was at the time, but like now really looking into like just the amount of stuff to do this. We're on a little road trip right now. And like the amount of stuff we had to bring to go to Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Is next level. We showed up like 30 minutes late here and we're staying 10 minutes away. I felt so bad. I couldn't even imagine trying to like mentally prepare for a heat, let alone succeeding in that heat. But then guys like Jordy are like thriving with 2 kids or 3 now.
Totally.
Maybe it gives them another incentive, but I think in order, I really enjoy this conversation, but I think really in order to be at like peak performance, like you do have to be a little bit selfish.
So selfish.
And that's some of the things like I've observed. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on tour, but like you and a couple other buddies that have spent a lot of time on tour, and like I've seen it firsthand. And you gotta kind of isolate yourself a little bit, but then you isolate yourself too much and you feel really lonely. Mm-hmm. And then you go the other way, and all of a sudden you don't really like, you feel really alone. And so you wonder like, what is the purpose of the competition? Is it to win the world title? Is it to like, hey, I'm good with top 10, just making the cut and like traveling the world with my buddies and surfing really good waves all the time. But then, you know, the flip side is you see guys that are just chasing swells, and that's a pretty good life too.
For sure.
Like, I'm still quite a bit of a frother. Like I still wake up and look at the storms, if not every day, every other day. Even if I can't make it, I love to look at the buoys and I love to know what's going on, and I'll like check in with a couple friends around the world. Like, how is that swell? Like, like if I see a long interval to Fiji, I'm like texting Weiner right away. I'm like, how is it? How was it? What's it doing? Like,
I'm kind of the same.
Like more, even if I can't be there, even if I know for sure 100% there's 0 chance of making it, I gotta know.
It's only like that for a couple spots though.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, I care what's going on. I mean, there's probably spots I don't know about that I would want to know about, but dude, yeah. The one thing I will say though is we went over to France just recently and took the family and like did that. It was a fun contest, like Jeremy's Quicksilver Fest, and coming in from a heat and like seeing your grom there, like so stoked and like hanging on the beach. Yeah. I was like, oh, so all those moments that would be hard doing the tour with a kid, or would be like, I'm sure just the sweet moments are so sweet that it maybe just, and it gives you like, I will say, like, I think being a dad too, like I look back now on like ways I used to think about things when I was on tour, or like things that I'd get caught up on. And I definitely feel like another level of like maturity, and like almost like you can remove yourself from situations and kind of just be like, oh, like, so like a simpler way of looking at everything that I feel like could be better for surfing heats and shit. Like, I don't know, you just realize like what's important and all that shit that like that I would get caught up in heats and like overthinking and da 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 da. That's like, maybe that would kind of be gone. So maybe it gives you some dad strength.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point.
And like a cool sense of purpose too, maybe. So I don't know. Yeah, like I don't think that I'll probably do that, but I as much as I was like, how do you do the tour with kids? I kind of have another sense of like, oh, it would be really cool, and I think I'd approach it totally different than how I used to.
And show them the world, and it feels like it would create more separation between when you're on and when you're off. Mm-hmm. That's what I heard. Like Parka was always really good at. Like when he was in a heat, he was in a heat, and as soon as he stepped back on sand, win or lose, like he was there with his family. And
yeah, you're back to being dad, and you're like, you can't hold on to that loss and like overanalyze it and be all like bummed out. No, I lost my heat, because you're like coming and your kid doesn't know, they don't care. They're just like, what up?
Yeah.
Play with me on the water.
I built a sandcastle.
Yeah, and you're just instantly stoked again.
Yeah.
So that was like, I got a tiny taste of that in France. Like one heat, it didn't even matter, but I like caught one wave and like didn't do. I was like, oh man, I wish I caught a few more waves. And I came in and Archie was just like running down to the beach, like, and I was like, oh, I'd forgotten 3 seconds, you know? Yeah. I felt like that was one of my weaknesses on tour, is like if I had a bad heat or I made some mistake, I'd like chew on it for like days, you know, and I'd be like, you know?
That's really,
you can't change it.
No.
Got to move on. Go to the next one.
Yeah. No, that's a really good perspective. That's a good way of looking at it. I didn't think about it that way, but it seems like it's, well, yeah, win or lose, like your family is your family, and there it is. And you always had like such a great family support, like from your brother and your mom and your dad and your uncle, Boff is uncle, your uncle, right?
Boff was my uncle. I always feel like he's a cousin. But
I was going to say cousin.
Yeah,
but
most people always say that. He feels like that. But yeah, he's my uncle.
And you always just had like good friends. Even Perry, when Perry was around.
Dude,
like,
Perry was like an older brother for me and Parker. So much fun.
Yeah.
I feel like the surf world was a lot like that though, like we were on the road traveling, like with photographers and filmers and, guys from freaking companies. And it was like some good, some bad influence, but it was like, that's as much as our parents influenced us. Like at the same time, it's like those friends and uncles on the road and around the world where we're spending time, like, helped raise us.
Yeah, it's still there. It's just it's in a different way now.
Yeah.
But I feel like the younger generation are still having those experiences, maybe slightly more disconnected with the advent of like phones and social media and that kind of thing. It feels like a little bit more worky now. Like people feel like a pressure to constantly create new content, new clips, new photos, and that sort of thing. So there isn't as much of like social hang time, whereas now it's like, I'm waxing my board. Okay, film that.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. Okay, I need an edit by 5 o'clock, and
totally.
like got to make sure we do. But at the same time, it is a job. And so if that is your job to make a living, to support a family or support yourself and your dreams of traveling the world, like it's a pretty easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Like I certainly know like you and your brother always had like the strongest work ethic.
Oh, thank you.
And we're just fun to spend time with.
Oh, thanks. Well, that was, dude, I look back on just all the freaking trips and the fun times and how much I learned so much doing, and stuff that's applicable, not just to surfing too, and like running your own business and putting the trips together, like all that stuff was so fun.
It's funny. Like I remember being on like the first commercials, one of the first like bigger commercial shoots that I was on. Well, I was still shooting a lot of surfing, but I got a job. Funny enough, it was a 2-part job, one half in Los Angeles, half in Miami Beach. And it was like this kind of big studio job. And everyone was so stressed out because we were shooting like kind of some famous people, and they were just so uptight and worried and stressed. And I'm like, guys, like studio's not going to fall on us. Like, like I just flew from Porto. Like that's scary.
Yeah.
Like this is easy. Like it's okay if these guys and girls don't like to be photographed. Like that's fine. But like,
or if they show up 2 hours late,
like we're safe. Like we have food, we have AC, like life is good. And, it's funny how like, I was thinking about just the amount of travel it takes to do the tour. And that's one of the things that I've noticed in slowing down with travel is like when you're really in it, like you're really, really in it and traveling a lot. Like there were multiple years for myself. I'm sure yourself too. Like it wasn't uncommon to go to Fiji twice in a year.
Yeah.
Or three
times.
Yeah. And then throw a Tahiti and a couple Australias in the mix. And
totally.
Like, seemed totally normal. Like totally normal. And now you're like, like we live in San Diego. We haven't been to Santa Barbara in a year and a half with an 8-month-old. Like, man, Santa Barbara's kind of far.
Totally.
And so when you're really in the thick of like traveling and chasing waves, and if you're chasing the tour, and again, like I never did the tour. I spent a lot of time with Kelly, and like I would, as soon as the contest would end, I'd be like, where are we going? And I'd like fly and meet him somewhere to go surf away from the contest.
Okay.
I rarely shot the contest.
Yeah.
I'd maybe do like 1 or 2 a year.
I remember seeing you at J-Bay, but you were like, dude, what are you and Perry up to? I've been hanging out. Like,
yeah.
I don't know when Kelly's coming. Like, I've been here for like 3 days. He might not be here for like 5 more days. So I'm just cruising.
Yeah. And then
the waves were firing. I think he got hurt or something. Yeah. And the waves were so good.
And then he made me go surfing.
Yeah.
He's like, you have to go surf. And it was Alec Parker and I, we were making a documentary on him called Continuance. It was like a multi-part series. And he unfortunately got hurt. And Alec's a great surfer. He's a regular foot and had been to J-Bay before. And I'm a proud goofy foot that doesn't like to go right. And Kelly's like, you got to go surf. And I'm like, dude, so right. And it was like 6 to 8 feet. I remember you and Kanoa were like the standouts of like the entire session.
Oh, thanks.
It was so good. And he's like, you may never be back here. You have to go surf. Take my board. And I was like running up the point,
sick.
like with his board and Alec and I, and we jumped in through the keyhole, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm like surfing J-Bay, like almost as good as it gets. And I rode a couple waves, and I was like, oh, rights are weird. And I like started looking at the left at the top. And then I just thought about how deep that water is that it goes into. And then I got all spooked and went in. I was like, I'm good. And Alex surfed for like 5 hours. He's like, this is the best thing ever. Dude, and I was like,
good wave.
Oh, man. I more just felt bad that Kelly got injured on that trip. And,
Was there a certain trip or like a photograph that you can look back on that you felt like really like put you on the map as far as your career as a surf photographer?
Guess. Well, maybe, I don't know about, I guess like, I can't say that early, like we all do that thing where like you look back at like your early work and you're like, oh, wasn't that good? My early bodyboard work was actually a lot better than my early surfing work.
Really?
Yeah. Because the bodyboarders that I knew, like they charged, and we'd go down to mainland or go over to Hawaii, and like they would pull into really big waves, and I liked swimming in those waves. So we ended up getting some really nice images. And I remember like showing those like bodyboard photos to like surfers and being like, hey, let's go get barreled somewhere. Like, let's go do airs. I'm like, fuck airs. Like, sorry, I don't mean to swear, but like, I'm like, who cares about airs? Like, let's go get barreled. And so so with photography, it was always like waves come first. Like it was almost like the performance was second. Mm-hmm. Like good waves, good light make for nice images. And then you want to go with surfers that are going to complement those waves and be fun to spend time with. Like the first like surfing assignment I got was there was a really big swell going to Mavericks. And our friend Derek Dunphy was going to go there. He called me and he was like, hey, I'm going to go up there. I've got this 10-0 Pat Curran board. It'd be really cool to go photograph it. And I'm like, yeah, that would be really cool. And I remember calling Grant Ellis from Surfer, and it's like, hey, Derek's going to go. I think it's going to be pretty big. Like, might be kind of neat to document this Pat Curran board. And he's like, oh, if you go, I'll pay for your ticket to go. I'm like, okay, rad. It's like San Diego to San Francisco. It's like not that much of a ticket. And we like fly up there, and then we spent the night in Zach Warmount's office. And it was so cold. It was like the steel office where he like designs skate parks. And then the next morning we drove up to Mavericks, and it was super foggy, and Derek's like, we're going out. And we didn't have a boat or anything. So he just paddled out on his board, and then I had a bodyboard, and so I paddled off the beach.
On your bodyboard?
On my bodyboard.
Oh.
And it was like really big. Like really, really big.
Sounds terrifying.
And as we got out there and we like turned the corner of like Mushroom Rock, it's like duck dive. Takes about an hour to get out, like on a bodyboard with the big housing. Dude. I'd never been there before. It was freezing. And Derek ended up getting a really big wave that I like got the shot kind of in front. The thing kind of clipped me like at the end. And then the next day we did the same thing and went out, and I spent like 10 hours on a bodyboard in the water. And I came in and I sent the photos to Grant, and he's like, oh, those are really cool. Like, how'd you get out there? And I was like, what boat were you on? I was like, I swam. And then, so that turned into like a 10-page story, which was kind of cool.
I remember that.
And Derek won the XXL awards on that trip. And then, so that was kind of like a kickstart.
Yeah.
And then that's where I'd already spent a bit of time with Rusty Long down in Mainland Max. And then like a month later, I get a phone call from Greg and said, hey, there's going to be a swell. Do you want to go? Yes or no? And I'm like, yes. He's like, I'll call you in a couple hours. I'm like, okay. Didn't say anything else. And then called me a couple hours later. He's like, be ready at 4 a.m. I'm like, cool. Like, I knew nothing. He's like, I saw you swimming at Mavs. Like, I want to take you to this place.
You're a psycho.
Like, let's go. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, had no idea where I was going. And so we went, we chased a swell. And then that was at the time where I just transitioned from shooting film to digital. And so we did this trip and I actually forgot the card reader for the digital card. And so I was like, okay, I have however many photos, like 800 photos, and we're gone for a week and I can't download them. So I got to treat the digital like film. And I had a film camera with me to shoot all the lifestyle photos. So I only used my digital camera for like peak surfing moments. And then I would use this like film camera for all the lifestyle moments because I didn't want to burn the digital on lifestyle photos. So we came back, and then at the time we would shoot photos. I would shoot all winter and submit like a sheet of photos of like 20 photos. I'm like, here's my winter, like 20 photos. And so I did that. I went to the office at Surfer and I brought a hard drive with like 25 photos from the whole trip. And I remember walking in the Surfer office and it was Jeff Devine was in there, Sam George was in there. And I was so nervous that I brought Greg, Rusty, and Twiggy in with me.
Sick. I
didn't know that like the photographers didn't bring, like I thought I'm like, we did the trip together. We come in as a unit.
Yeah.
And Jenna was actually there. We drove up together because she was applying for an internship at Snowboarder. So she was meeting with Pat Bridges for an internship. And then I was like submitting these photos and we walked in and I had like 20 photos and they're like, where's everything else? I'm like, this is it. Like, they're like, no, there has to be more. And I was like, well, if you show like everything, then it shows the weaknesses. Like you just want to show the strengths. But Grant ended up looking at all the photos and then he chose a photo that became like my first cover of Surfer Magazine. And then it was, I guess, voted on like the photo of the year. But it was so interesting because that photo wasn't in the original submission.
Oh, no way. That won the cover of Greg.
Yeah. It wasn't because...
Really?
Yeah, because later on, he's like standing in this very big barrel.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the peak moment.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that like the anticipation shot actually...
Like of the back door, that freaking glassy peak.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, I'm like...
I want to see the one you liked. I've never seen that.
It was just, he's like standing in like a...
Perfect blue barrel.
Big blue barrel. And Grant was like, we've seen that before, but we haven't seen this. But he didn't say it at the time. So we just dropped off the hard drive and then 2 months later, I think I got a phone call from Greg and he's like, we got the cover. I'm like, what? So that was like kind of a dream to do that. That one kind of like kickstarted, I think a little bit of like trying to, and then.
That was an insane photo.
Thank you. And then the next year I got hired by Quicksilver. The very first day I worked with Quicksilver, they sent me on a trip with Kelly. And the very first day of Waves, I was like, we were driving to go where we were going. And I was so nervous. I asked him to like pull the car over and I got sick. I was like so nervous. And I blamed it on food poisoning. I was like, sorry, I got food poisoning. Like, I like didn't have, it was just so nervous. And then the second wave of the trip ended up being the photo that we used for his 10th world title. This like backhand, no grab barrel.
God.
And then I was like, that almost felt more comfortable because I was like early morning light, like it was a pretty obvious choice. And like Kelly was just doing his Kelly thing. And I just remember like that being a pretty special moment, like when we got that photo. And again, like I was so nervous, like Kelly has this nickname for me, like Paranoid. Because like where we were is like kind of a high risk of theft area. And so I had like all these multiple copies of the hard drives and I was like stashed one in his bag, stashed one in another hotel room. Like I had two, I was like so nervous and like
That's
anxious
epic.
about everything. And then the photo came out and it was like used to celebrate his 10th world title. And that kind of like really kickstarted our relationship together with chasing waves and making photos.
That's pretty special.
Yeah.
That you got to end up shooting one of the best surfers ever so much.
Yeah. He's just a nice guy, really. You've spent time with him.
Yeah.
Like, he's like a mad scientist. He's just like a tinkerer and loves chasing waves.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like the most competitive human you'll ever meet. But like when it comes to chasing waves, he's like equally as competitive as that as he is with like I would never want to surf a heat against him. I'll just say that. Like
it's hard.
It seems challenging. I've like played poker with him and like played like just chess and like a couple different games, and I'm like, oh, he's competitive. I'm like, dude, this doesn't matter. We're like flipping coins, calling heads or tails.
Totally.
But he's got to win.
That's so funny.
And so, yeah.
How about on moments like shooting? How long did you really travel and shoot with Kelly for? Like almost full time, sort of, for a while there, right?
Yeah. I'd say a good 10 years of very full on.
It was 10 years?
And then we're still, we're still doing it. So it's been, 2025. So I'd say since that first trip was 2000. So a good 15 years of traveling and chasing waves. And then a handful of images. And we would like be in the same place a lot of the time, but with different crews. And what's funny is like the very first photo I ever shot of him was at Rincon.
Really?
When I was in a portrait class when I was at school in Santa Barbara.
Whoa!
And he paddled by me, and we had a couple of mutual friends, and we started talking. And I was like, "Hey, can I shoot a portrait of you?" And I shot like 2 frames.
Sick.
And yeah, that was like one of my favorite photos of him. And like that was in 2007. Shot 34 on the roll.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And you guys recently put a book together.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. I mean, I know about it, but.
I brought you a copy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What?
Have you seen it?
No.
Oh yeah, I brought you a copy.
Dude, thank you.
You're welcome.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's in the car.
Sick. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Got to get you to sign it.
We put together a book of probably the last 15 years of chasing waves and telling stories. And it was really cool. As a photographer, I've always been into photography books. And in the back of my mind, I always approached the sessions, especially early on with Kelly. I'm like, everyone sees him surfing. What's it like? We have this wonderful relationship and friendship and access. I'm just going to kind of shoot when it feels right. And, at the time Quicksilver needed their deliverables, and which then turned into like Outer Known, and they needed what they needed. But there were so many moments where we would be surfing, and like we were in Hawaii in 2013, and he just made like the final day, and we were surfing Aukai, and I was shooting, and he came in, he had a text, and like one of his friends was playing music down in town. It was Jimmy Buffett, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go see Jimmy play?" And I was like, "That sounds really cool. Like, I've never seen him play. Like, that would be wonderful." And because we were there and I was staying in his house, he's like, "Let's just go." And so we like went and like watched him and Jimmy play music till like 1 a.m.
Sick.
For like 100 people.
Damn.
And then we stayed out even later, and then he won the Pipe Masters the next day on like a couple hours of sleep. And there's just like all these stories that we've experienced together, mostly his life, where I'm just kind of like tagging along, documenting it. And I just thought, man, what a neat opportunity to show Kelly in a way that needs to like celebrate not only like his performance in the water, but like all the great stuff he's done on land, like, making a wave pool and the collection of people that come in and out of his life on a pretty daily basis is pretty special. So during 2020, I had some time from traveling. So I started pulling all the photos together, and I sent him a text. "Hey, I kind of got this idea. Would you be into it?" And I've always been really inspired by the book that Walter Eos made of Michael Jordan. I'm like, it'll be kind of like this, but it's going to be you. And, if we do it, we want to do it right. And Kelly's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And he's like, let's get Chris involved. And so we brought Chris, called Chris Malloy in, and Chris would take the train down and stay with me, and he would help photo edit, and it really helped kind of curate the story. And then Grant Ellis helped with the photos too, because I was like, Grant, if I missed the photo that was my first cover and the photo of the year, like I know we're missing some other stuff.
Yeah.
And so we pulled,
Dude, I mean, how many images did you have to sift through prior to start?
30,000 or so. And then
they're probably all A photos.
I don't know about that.
But B at worst.
There are some good stuff. But a lot of it had to do with like, how do you choose to tell the story?
Yeah.
Like we probably redesigned that book 6 or 7 times.
Yeah,
like,
Chris told me all about it when we were hanging out fishing with Cooper one day.
Yeah, like I slept in Cooper's room one night
Sick.
when I was up at his house. And the designer, Mackie Saturday, who's out of New York, I must have been driving him crazy because like, be like, hey, let's do a whole chapter on underwater. So we designed like a 30-page underwater section, and we're like, it's a little redundant. Let's can that. Let's try this. And I'm sure we just drove him crazy.
Oh yeah.
But it was,
you probably could have made like $1,000.
Yeah. It just depends on how you choose to spend. The hardest part was actually the competition part, because that's what we had the least amount of photos from.
Oh, no way.
I'd barely shot the surf. I'd shot the Pipe Masters, but that's about it. I went to San Francisco with them and Portugal, and I love being around good waves, and I strongly dislike, I'm not going to use the other word, I strongly dislike being around contests where there's these massive highs and these massive lows. Like, I really don't like seeing my friends bummed out. So I'm like, if we're just chasing good waves, you're just like riding these like great highs. Whereas like you see your friend like have this insane high from winning a world title or winning a contest, and then you see them lose and they break their board in 3. And you're like, if I'm documenting this, it's kind of voyeuristic, and like I don't want to show you like this. Like I want to see you like slapping high fives and having fun. So like let's just go have a lot of fun away from the contest.
Totally.
And I hope that's what the book shows.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to seeing it, because I feel like most of us know that side of Kelly that's very contest centric, but I like the little bit that I know him outside of that environment. Like, he's so into music, he's got like so many other interests, and he's such an interesting guy that it'll be cool to see all that other stuff that you guys have been up to.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's stressful making a book.
Oh, dude, I bet.
And I kept like
big undertaking.
I really weighed heavily on Chris and Grant and Kelly too. Kelly was really hands on, and then Kelly brought in our friend we were on a surf trip and asked him if he would write the foreword, and Ed Vedder wrote the foreword, and we were all surfing, and he's like, "Oh, I'll do it." Like really? He's like, "Yeah, thanks." And he hand wrote an 1,800-word foreword.
No way.
And it arrived the day before we went to print.
Whoa.
And we were 6 months late, and the publisher was calling me, freaking out.
Oh shit.
Freaking out. Like, hey, we're 6 months late. Like, we need this book done. And I'm like, can I get like 16 more pages? Because like we just got this forward in. And they're like, absolutely not. Like, you're tripping. And I'm like, well, can I get 8 pages? Because they come in like booklets of 8 or 16.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. They're like, we're so late on everything. We're like, but it's going to be good. It's going to be worth it. And so we had to move some things around last minute. But like, how cool is it that like Ed like participated? And,
so cool.
And so I hope the book highlights, it's funny, like I've actually only looked at it like twice since we made it, but like I hope it celebrates the good times we've had together.
Yeah.
And we've had some friends say some nice things about it, but like it's almost like one of those things that you put so much like time and energy into it that like once you get it and you look at it, you're like, okay, it's done. Like, what's next?
Totally,
like,
for sure. You're probably so in that book for the last however long you've been thinking about it.
It'd be like you going back and watching old heats. You're like, am I going to spend an hour watching old heats, or am I going to go spend an hour with Archie and like go play in the garden?
Yeah.
You're like, I want to go. For me, I'd much rather like go do tummy time with my 8-month-old daughter and like give her a high five than like look at stuff that we did years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe in time it'll become easier to look at, but like, I haven't looked at it.
I want to look at it.
I haven't looked at it in a while.
So what else is besides, so you got Nora, you guys are cruising. I mean, it sounds like you're pumping the brakes a little bit too on the travel schedule right now.
Yeah.
But is there any other projects that you want to highlight that you've been up to in the last, I don't know, whether it's the last 6 months, year, 2 years?
I've got an idea for a couple like short films. I've kind of been dabbling more and more on the motion side of things. And so I have like 2 kind of like rough treatments that I'd like to hopefully at least see one of them come to life. But presently it's like full dad mode. I feel like since becoming a dad, there's more of a separation between like personal life and professional life. Whereas I felt like for a long time, my photography was my personal and my professional life. Like there was no separation. It was just this one big mesh of things. And now like I value my time at home so much more, and it takes a lot more to step away. from being home, but like, I don't know. I'm still such a frother. Like there's a couple of places I'd like to go for surfing to shoot that are just real clear water. I'm kind of like very, very excited about photographing clear water. And I almost think now with like, there's so much emphasis on like shredding clip. Like I saw the clip that you posted the other day, that backhand turn.
Oh yeah.
That was like the sickest turn I'd seen in quite a while. And I saw that and I was like so happy for you. But I'm like, from a surf photography point of view, I'm like, I don't know what we do with the photo. It doesn't make any sense to me, but like, I just appreciated your surfing for the surfing side. It's like, I appreciate surfing more now that I get to see that. But then I'm like, if we were to go do that turn at sunset in golden light and we like underexpose the photo by 2 stops and like the wave was black and the sky was gold,
orange,
like that would be super cool.
Totally.
But just the turn itself just got me excited to know that like you're still ripping as hard as ever.
Oh, thanks.
But so I don't know. And then with like surf photography, I'm just like very, very excited to continue to shoot underwater stuff. Like that's where my heart is.
Right.
I
love those photos.
I love shooting
so
underwater.
Beautiful.
And like, thank you. Yeah, that's like my favorite thing to do. But just being a good dad and a good husband, and who knows if another book will be in the works. I could maybe see myself doing another book. And I've been doing kind of like more work outside of surfing, which is more the commercial side of things, which is you're a part of a bigger team and you're surrounded by people that want to encourage the creativity. As I felt sometimes with surfing, there's a lot of waiting and you're trying to like communicate like, hey, if we go out in the dark, we can make this. And for me, it's always been like safety and like image first, like safety of all of us. And then like, how can we make the best image that no one else is making? Because now there's so much incredible photography and film out there. Like, how do you separate yourself from what you're doing versus what other people are doing? And I think there's, with more images out there, I don't think outside of a couple people, there's not a whole lot more creativity happening. Like there's a few that are really standing out to me as far as people who are telling and showing surfing in a different light. And so I'm kind of like enamored by what they're doing and want to continue to do what I'm doing. But I think it ends up shooting less, but hopefully having the images be more impactful, or at least they feel that way.
For sure.
And gives you more time at home.
Sounds like a good program.
How about yourself? Winter's coming up. This is like your time.
Oh yeah, this is nice because I could be home and surf. I like that and get good waves. No, we're kind of cruising, man. I've been having a lot of fun doing this, and so thank you for coming up and jumping on. I like everyone always asks me like, oh, I was like, well, most of the time it's just like an old friend that I want to see all the time that I never get to see, and we haven't properly caught up. So then I get to sit here and talk to him for 2 hours uninterrupted, which is great. So yeah, we're doing this, and then chasing Archie around, which is super fun because now he can like walk and go down to the beach. So I think RinCon's going to be fun tomorrow. So I told Sierra we're going to sit and hang out in the cove all afternoon tomorrow. Nice. And yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm going to try to spend a little bit of time on the North Shore this winter. Cool. And because it's just so fun to be over there and hang with the family and surf those waves. I always love, that's kind of like a annual pilgrimage as a surfer, and I just can't get over it yet. So yeah, we'll do that. And shoot, I don't know. Parker and I are working on a project with Surfline. Cool. That sounds kind of fun. That's going to be super fun. And I don't know, fishing, trying to surf waves that people don't surf too much also around here. That's hard to do. Find little things and weird little shit. Yeah. And hopefully not too many sharks.
Have you seen? I saw the video of the drone footage of the one at RinCon. That thing was spooky.
Dude, they're everywhere. I don't know. I think they're all over.
They see them down where we live all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's where we swim a lot. Like, that's pretty weird.
It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
I like to think about it, or I don't know, at least it makes me feel more at ease. I think the amount of times probably a great white just swam right by me and was like, oh yeah, what's up? And kept going. It has to be like thousands, I think.
Yeah.
At least that's what I tell myself.
Have you ever seen one in the water?
No. Other people have seen them around me. or like us, but in the only time I've ever seen one like in real life was at J-Bay. They 2 different times I got pulled onto the jet ski during a heat. And then I was like, wow, is there a shark? They're like, well, yeah. And I was like, where is it? I want to see it.
Yeah.
And I made the ski like kind of take me over by where it was. And one time it didn't come up, but then one time it popped up like right in the back of the wave.
No way.
Dude, yeah. And I was just blown away. Like the video of Mick, like, dude, the thing was like in the surf, just cruising up the point. I was like, damn.
So spooky.
Thing wants to ride one. But yeah, no, other than that, I haven't.
Yeah. It would be pretty spooky. I saw one in Western Australia once. I was like, we were up on the bluff. Now we shot there the day before. I was with a group of guys and we went back the next morning and we were the only ones out and the water was super blue. Like, you know, that West Oz blue.
Yeah.
And we were real high up. So you could just see the whole beach. It's like white sand beach. And I remember I had my towel on and I had my like left leg in. I was putting my right leg into the wetsuit and I looked down and I saw one swimming through the lineup, like right where we were going. And I just like took my wetsuit off. And I was like,
I'm good.
I'm good. Oh, not for me, man.
I think they're like so smart. I don't know. Like just every once in a while they make a unfortunate mistake, but
I agree.
I think.
But those mistakes are like pretty spooky.
Yeah, definitely think about it a little bit more now that I'm a dad and stuff. Like some of those, I don't know, places you surf or things you do. I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Whereas back when it was only me, I was just like, whatever.
You're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more at stake now, I guess.
I agree.
Oh, and well, you're in town for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
That's going to be sick.
That's going to be super fun.
Dude, I'm so excited.
I'm really excited.
I was like, when you can text people and ask a favor, I like didn't want to. So I like got on and signed up for the ticket lottery. Like my mom signed up, my brother signed up, and none of us got tickets.
No way.
And I was like, dang it. Like we're not going to get to go.
Oh man.
And then oh gosh, dude, she's so sweet. She just texted me the other day, but she's helping with all the ticket distribution. And she was like, hey, Chris and Jack, like told us to reach out to you guys because they wanted you to come. And I was like, sick, I get to go.
No way.
Yeah, so I was super fired up.
Oh man.
Because like the last few weeks, I was like, damn, I'm not going to go see those two. Those are like 2 of my favorite films.
Yeah.
And see Jack play.
We were,
hopefully.
I signed up for the ticket lottery and we didn't get in. And I was pretty bummed. And I was like, I just want to go see it. Because Jack showed his film down in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I was with him. And fortunately, the next day, I ran into him and Emmett and Chris down at Seaside. I was like, you guys can play in Santa Barbara? Like, kind of cool. Check out. And
I want to come.
Nothing. And then like a week ago, we got a text.
Yeah.
I was like,
pretty sick. Like,
I'm pretty excited.
Very finite. I feel like they could sell that thing out like 3 times probably in Santa Barbara.
We saw Jack play in San Diego once for like 50,000 people.
Well, yeah. What am I talking about? The Arlington's like, I don't even know. It might
2,500 people.
2,500. Yeah. So
yeah,
multiply that times 20 times. You could probably sell it out.
And
here.
like
maybe more.
Jack's crazy. Like Jack's in our book. He came on a trip with us. Totally random. This is like a full, long story short is like, Kelly called me one day. It was the day after my birthday at like 6 a.m. He never calls at like 6 a.m. And he's like, hey, it's going to be a swell here tomorrow. Can you get on the next flight and make it to Hawaii and then we can make it to where we need to go? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I thought you were calling to wish me happy birthday. He's like, is your birthday? I'm like, yeah. He's like, happy birthday. He's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And we like rallied and we like, I got to the airport and I got into Hawaii super late. And then the next flight was very early in the morning. I'm checking in. I look over and Jack was next to me. And I was like frazzled, hadn't slept in like whatever a day. And I'm like, where are you going? He's like, same place as you. I'm like, what time did your phone ring? He's like, I was at dinner last night, like 6 o'clock. And he's like, Kelly called me. He's like, I have to go. He's like, I have a concert in 3 days. I'm like, so you're going to fly? And then he somehow made it work. But
no way.
We flew in and Kelly and I slept. And then when we got to the airport, Jack was like, hey, what do you think of this song? And while we were sleeping, he'd written a song on the flight. And he's like sitting in baggage claim, like strumming this like cigar ukulele. And I like shot a photo of him. And then that song, he had an album coming out the next month. That song became the first single for the album.
No way.
And so we like ended up doing this big story for Rolling Stone magazine. That was like a surf trip that turned into this like Rolling Stone trip. And we're like, this is, and we did like an album cover. It was like this whole thing. All because Kelly was like, hey, I think the waves are going to be good. And Jack flew in for like 36 hours.
That's so sick.
And then went and played for a stage of like 50,000 people.
Damn.
It was crazy.
I didn't see that.
And
Rolling
yeah,
Stone. I get Rolling Stone. I must have just not freaking looked through that one.
And he like, I don't know how much you've seen him surf. Like,
dude, yeah, you freaking rip.
Like he like rips.
I don't even know. I don't want to even like say it because somehow it's like gotten less crowded. But I end up surfing with Jack a lot on the North Shore. And every time he paddles out, I'm like, oh, I know it's either like about to get good or like this is the window.
And like,
he always gets freaking drained a few times and just like paddles down the beach and disappears.
Yeah. And then like I was there when Parker rode the green board.
Yeah.
But what's crazy about Jack is like how much he frosts on surfing. And like when you spend time with him or like we do, it's like around like 2 or 3 people or like 4 or 5, like not a whole lot of people. And then like, you forget, like tomorrow we'll see him do his thing and it's going to be in front of a bunch of people, but like thicker than water and like September sessions, he shot every single frame of September sessions.
Did he really?
He shot every single frame, every land, every water shot.
I grew up freaking watching those. I think my uncle gave me both those films when I was a kid. I watched those movies so many times. September Sessions was the one I was like, I have to go to Indo. Like I have to. And I went on a boat trip and I was like, dude, this is the sickest thing ever.
Like every time I see him, I'm like the last shot of Thicker Than Water where he gets stuck inside at the outside Tahitian reef.
Yeah.
The one in front of Raimona's house. He like takes on, like go watch the last, well, tomorrow night we'll see it. He takes like a 10-footer straight on the head and he keeps rolling.
No way. Yeah. I remember that shot. I didn't know that it was out there.
Jack shot that. And every time I see him, I'm like, hey, how work did you get on that one? And he's like, I'm glad that you see it. I was like, oh yeah. Like when we were on the trip, I just kept asking about that.
That's so
And then there's a scene in Thicker Than Water where like Kelly's like getting mobbed by all these fans in France.
Yeah.
And they're pushing Jack out of the way. They were like pushing like the filmer out of the way. Yeah. But like, it's funny in hindsight now people like would push other people out of the way to like get to Jack.
Totally.
So I don't know.
So crazy.
I froth out on it.
Dude, I trip out. I would love to get Jack on here. Actually, I'm always like, dude, we got to get Jack. I don't know if it's realistic or not, but
it'd be cool.
Maybe I'll try. And, but yeah, I trip out. Like I go into Brazil in the contest, you go into some like tiny cafe freaking down in like Saquarema and Jack Johnson's playing. I'm like, damn, dude, that's crazy. Everywhere around the world.
Dude, I think
Japan one time.
I think our kids are playing right now.
Yeah. I guess that's our sign to go.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I want to go meet Archie. I'm
Thanks,
super excited.
Todd.
Thanks.
Oh, it's rad, dude. Congratulations on everything. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. You too, Connor.
Let's hopefully do a surf trip again one day.
That'd be so fun. Thanks so much for having
groms me. Now.
Yeah. Let's go do it.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, man. Can I stop a photo? 2, 3. 1 more. 1, 2.
Suck it in.
Suck it in. Sit. Thank you.
No worries, dude. Thank you.